Police question me about being in a park. Okay, so as the summer winds down, I figured I would take the kids to the park a few times before school started up again. My wife and I took the kids, and while the kids were playing, I got a call from work. I stepped away to take the call. There is a 4-foot fence that goes around the play area, so I walked over to it and leaned on it while I talked with the boss. He wanted me to work on my day off. I ended up not taking him up on it, as he wanted me to work that day and take a different day off that week. That's a no-go. I called my shop steward and asked what he thought. While on the phone with my steward, 2 officers approached me and tried to get my attention. I told them I am on the phone and continued my conversation. They got very annoyed, but I didn't care. When I was done, I asked them what they wanted, and they said they received a complaint about a creepy man in the park staring at children. I said, and I quote, "So you're calling me a creep now? Fuck off." I went back to my family. They stood there dumbfounded for a minute before walked off. Now I know I am going to be called the entitled person and to the bootlickers. May that boot taste good when they start questioning you. I live near a park, and some parents are quick to assume a single male at the park is a predator. Not every man who plays with a child that's not their own is a pedo. Some people are just nice. I feel after the viral video years ago of the guy asking parents if he could do an experiment to see if their kids would go with him and kidnap the kids by saying things like, "I have a puppy at home. I have this at home. You want to come with me to do this?" And the kids just left with a stranger. I feel people are way more protective, which is good. But why would you be on the phone then and not hyper-focusing like a creeper does? Feckin' hate when people make calls like that, wasting the cops' time and yours. Just recently, a busybody neighbor called the police on my kids and their friends climbing trees in their own yard. The wife was nonplussed. "Dads, I'm sorry. I'm not a parent, but I babysit and nobody questions me about the kids. I'm sorry dads have to go through this. You're trying to be a good father, and people are trying to get you arrested. Deadbeat dads? Oh, no, they're horrible dads spending time with your kid in a park? Oh no, a pedo, you guys can't win. Can you? So watching kids play is creepy? Like, I hear next door's kids playing and sometimes I can see them, and it's fun to see what kind of weird imaginary things they have come up with. Space McDonald's only accessible by jumping through time trampoline. Not for nothing. Even if you were just being a creepy fucker at the park, it's not illegal. Sick but not illegal. Telling the cops to fuck off was the correct response. At least they had good enough training to know that they couldn't actually do anything about it. I would have said, "No worries. I'll keep an eye out for you. Or I'll give you a call if I see him. Got a card?" Ah, the world of being a dad. If someone doesn't like the look of you or has just watched one too many shitty true crime documentaries, then you magically become a child predator. I've had women try to talk to my 3-year-old son whilst I was carrying him, asking if he knows the man taking him. This assumption that a male watching children in a park is obviously a predator. And I dunno. The needs to stop. Yes, officers. I'm the creepy man. And those are my creepy children and my creepy wife. Have a creepy day. I'll go to a park during my lunch and walk around playing Pokemon Go. I usually have to talk to the cops every couple weeks. I'm all for telling them to fuck off most of the time. But when it comes to kids, well, it's better to say I'm here with my family. If they try that I needed BS, then let the inner asshole go and ask for the call case number. Request all info on said call. If they lied, file a complaint. Not that it'll do anything. Had this happened when I was at the park with my daughter, Never wanted to punch a cop more in my life, and the thought comes often. That's nothing. My Bill had his hotel room raided at 2 a.m. by the Dallas PD after the Metallica concert because they got a call that said he was sex trafficking. Yeah, he was with his 15-year-old daughter. When you're at a park and someone asks, "Which one is your kid?" the correct answer is, "I haven't decided yet." Like, yes, bad people exist, but if you assume every person is a pedo, then you should assume everyone is a murderer of a crazy gun person. Love hearing from my union brothers. You did great. Fuck those police. Would love to stand on a picket line with you. You are not entitled. I mean, God forbid a man take his kids to the park. I never had any problems with taking my kids to the park when they were younger. I read all these stories on the internet, but thankfully nothing similar happened to me. I even found myself supervising my kids and a group of their friends after a school event when none of the other parents walked over to the playground. All of these posts have given me the foresight to have responses prepared. So I'll certainly be aggressively unkind if it ever does happen to me. I never understand this. Every park I've been to, there's always people who come alone to do their own thing. Especially since the release of Pokémon Go. And even if they are watching the kids, so what? Sometimes it's really entertaining to watch them play. I don't like kids, but I find it hilarious to watch my nephews play because they come up with the dumbest stuff. Not every person just existing is a pedo. I don't blame you for telling the pigs to fuck off. After calling you a creep. Fuck them. I am female and was asked to leave the children's area of the library because I didn't have a child with me. I was getting books for my niece. Creepy man staring at children. Nope, sorry, didn't see anyone. I've known a few people who regularly polish that boot. It makes me sick to see people defending the behavior of cops who don't know their place. We collectively hire them because while I'm at work I can't respond to a traffic accident. They are our employees, just like politicians. But too often they treat us like we are their subjects. I knew my place in the army. And I've known my place in every job I've held. But it seems the police are overwhelmingly bullies looking to push people around. Let's face it, every public park in America is effectively off limits to single men. Even if you're married with kids. If you appear to be in a public park alone, you are assumed to be a perv, though all you're doing is taking a break from the office to eat lunch. Sometimes you'll get questioned for stupid reasons. As a teenager, some friends and I got questioned by a PCSO police light about why we weren't in school. Valid reasons aside, we were in uniform. On the school playing field. The receptionist would be able to see us from the other side of the road if we were really bunking off. We'd have done a much better job of it. Good job. Nah bro, fuck that noise. You did right. If it is a public park, doesn't that imply that the public has a right to use it as long as they are not breaking the law? And if you are not breaking the law, don't you have a right to be left in peace? I don't understand why the dispatchers don't ask more questions when taking calls. Did he arrive alone or with kids? Is he in contact with any other kids? Did he touch any other kids? Karen, no, he's standing there in a creepy manner on the phone. Dispatcher, he's not breaking a law. Shut the fuck up, Karen, and mind your business. No need to waste police time. Insane. Reality is that kids these days are safer than ever before. Stranger kidnapping is virtually non-existent. And so on. Paranoia strikes deep. I don't care what your high-minded analyses conclude about your misuse of the words entitled and bootlickers. And I am no fan or supporter of the police, but saying fuck off to anybody speaks volumes about who you are as a person. Lol, they cops were just doing their jobs sounds like you were being a dick. If you're not doing anything wrong, fuck off, is the appropriate response to cops harassing you. So nothing happened, and you came here for what? Careful. It's the new hot conspiracy on the block among blue hair Karens. Sex traffickers are everywhere. I'm on the fence with this one. Too many times dads actually spending time with their kids at the park have been called creepy, but at the same time the police were just doing their jobs. FTP. ACAB. FTP. FK the bootlickers. Handled perfectly. I work in a public place and do enforcement, and people call all the time about men outside the women's restrooms. Almost all of the time it is a dad waiting for a kid. But because we do not know, we have to ask. I would rather ask and get a smart-ass answer from a guy like you than find out the dude in the white van just jacked a kid. People like you are what make people who do these jobs like me not want to care about the safety of others. You could have just said, "My kids are playing," and went about your day. Wish I had an award to give. Boy, you're an asshole. You could have just said, "I'm here with my family," but haven't seen anyone like that. Instead you get all butt hurt because you're mad at your boss and escalate. The cops weren't calling you a creep. They were responding to a call about one. You're the asshole. Blame the cops for a complaint from the real AH. You were at a quiet place to discuss business. On your time off. Some idiot called it in. Cops have to respond to every idiotic call. You even called your steward to complain about the job calling you during your personal time. But deflect from your job calling during your off time. You were an asshole for a simple question. A simple explanation would have been enough. But no. You had to immediately escalate to something. People like you give police a bad name. Be polite next time someone is polite to you. A little respect goes a long way. They don't know who you are, and they have had a report of suspicious activity which, for all they know, is genuine. Your attitude is complete shit, and it's interesting to see someone post here that is the entitled person. Gotta love the preemptive name calling. Such a pleasant individual you must be. At some cities in Florida of all places, there are parks with ordinances banning men without children. So two officers that your taxes pay came up to you about a possible child endangerment situation. Instead of stopping to talk to them, you went off on them. Yes, you come off as an entitled ass. Hope you won't need a cop in the future. You do not brush off cops. Yes. Some people are hypersensitive about men who seem to be loitering around parks. Some parents teach their children that all strangers are out to get them, which makes it difficult. If those kids ever need help, police are just doing their job. How were they supposed to know you were a dad? You were rude. So let me get this straight. The police responded to a call about a potential child predator. And when they get there, they found what looked like a single man by himself leaning on the fence of the children's playground. So they made contact with you to see if you have a reason to be there, and when you told them to fuck off and return to your family, they saw that you were there with your children and not just there perving on little kids, so they left you alone. That's your whole complaint? My God, those dastardly villains. I worked with children for many years, and situational awareness is ingrained into our training. If I'm looking after a group of children and you're lurking, however innocently, you're on my radar. A polite enquiry shouldn't offend you, not when people in the past have caused devastating harm to children. Kudos to the park police. You might not even have been the person who had been reported to them, but it's their job to make sure you're not a danger. If someone had been lurking for an unexplained reason near your children, are you saying you wouldn't check them out? So in your head, the cops should take calls like that with a grain of salt, because you're not a Creep? Is this post about you being entitled to the benefit of the doubt? Fuck whoever called the cops. But you can fuck off as well for treating the cops like assholes for not assuming the call was frivolous. You said fuck off to some people who were just doing their job. We're not rude to you and asked you a question. Not entitled. Just an asshole. An emotionally immature, knee-jerk quip to people simply asking you a question. You weren't doing anything wrong by any measure. We all want others to use common sense when assessing a situation like a man leaning on a fence talking on his phone at the park. But I think it also possible to use common courtesy when interacting with people who are genuine and sincere. The return of common sense and common courtesy would be a tremendous benefit in our interactions with each other. Then call me a bootlicker if you saw a strange man leaning against a fence watching kids including yours. You would want to know what he was doing. Should have roasted you. There is no expectation of privacy in public. Even if you were staring at kids, it wouldn't change a thing or make it illegal. Fuck those cops. Yeah, no. When you post in such an adversarial manner and end your post trying to stir up shit, you lose all sympathy and do, in fact, show yourself as entitled. I was in support right up until you decided to stick your foot in your mouth for no reason. Have a great life with that attitude. Hard to be angry about the abundance of caution about potential creepy guys near kids' play areas. You could have just been nice and explained the situation. Apparently it was a misunderstanding on the caller's part. No need to get so defensive. Especially since you didn't do anything wrong. Thumbs up. What a weird fucking story. How is this entitled people? Single man in the park looks suspicious. Cops are called and he thinks he is entitled? Someone else is entitled? WTF is entitled? Other than thinking you're a badass. Which is pretty stupid. The story was extremely boring and pointless. Good on you, mate. What if the officers had been looking for a missing child? A few seconds taken away from your oh-so-important phone call to see what they wanted then for you to explain you were there with your wife children would have hurt you? Emo. You were rude entitled. I believe your response was not appropriate and you are lucky they had a thick skin. Why not just say, I haven't seen anyone. I have been here with my family. Speaking with my manager. They were doing their job. We have to protect the kids from potential pedophiles. In this case it was an error. In the next it may not be. Yeah, I don't believe this story for a second. I don't know a single cop who gets told to fuck off and just is when they are talking to someone who was reported as a possible child predator. Don't be so proud of yourself. You think you handled it like a boss. In reality, you handled it like a douche. This is what happens when you live in the United States of fear and loathing. You weren't dumbfounded, you were crazy. The officers responded to a call for service or it was self-initiated. Either way they were concerned about the safety of the children. If this minor interaction bother you, the problem is with you. Parks attract creepy people which happen to be primarily male. By your own admission you were away from your family which may have appeared odd to them or a community member. Instead of making the bayou make it about the safety of the children and others at the park. I'll bet you yell at the TV every time a POC is shot to death by police that if they'd just cooperate they wouldn't have been killed. You're a giant They are trying to normalize Gestapo behavior. Communists. Here in West Palm it's a crime for an adult to be in the playground park without kids. And also know they'll probably lose. You can't arrest someone for something that isn't illegal. You did well, especially telling them to fuck off. Kudos to you, sir. Hands clapping, thumbs up. I've had this conversation many times with people. It's unfortunate, but I'm likely not got to help assist a child without another adult present due to the possibility of someone claiming some abuse stuff. As an older parent of 2 kids, I used to leave my kids at the park all the time. Times have changed. I have told countless cops to fuck off for various reasons. I would be annoyed if someone called the police on me for being creepy while out with my family. For sure. But all the other details you chose to share with us suggest that you're one of those people who is constantly outraged by relatively banal requests and inconveniences put on you by others. Hard to say on this one. I don't like to side with the cops. But this description of events is vague enough that there could be a wide range of interpretations of events and of who's being the dickhead. My hero is hanging out at a park and staring at kids. Against the law where you live. I'm wondering why the cops even responded to a call like that. What were they going to do if you turned out to be a creep? Violate your civil rights based on your creepy behavior? If cops did that to me, I'd say, oh no, can I do anything to help? Because I would just assume I'm not the creep. Because, well, I'm not a creep. It's interesting that OP immediately took it personally and basically gave himself away. You shit down there, and Nate didn't know what to say to that. It's always funny how cops have no idea what to do when someone doesn't react the way they are programmed to expect. If you just don't engage with the cops, they literally have no idea what to do. Good for you. I know how that feels. This makes me just shake my head. It's so sad how we have become, but very understanding at the same time. Way back when my son was 2, during the winter, my husband would be laid off for short periods of time. He would take our son to a park in the mid of town to spend some time outside together. Well, apparently, it turned out to be newsworthy. A reporter saw them and took a picture of them playing by the pond. Placed it on 1/4 of the front page. Lol. Didn't talk to them. Just titled it, "Father and Son Take Advantage of Warmer Weather." Still have a copy of that paper. Oh, my almost 46 years later. Double-edged sword this. That is the problem. The bad apples ruin it for anyone else who is at a park with kids. But on the other hand, unless it's a small community and everyone knows everyone else, how are they supposed to distinguish between a true creep and some kid's dad? All you had to do was say, I'm here with my wife and kids. Were they supposed to ignore the report of a guy alone in the park where kids play? I'd be thankful that someone was looking out for my kids. If something were to happen to a kid, everyone would be like, where were the cops? Someone reported it and they ignored it. I swear, some of these posters would let a cop stick a hand up their asses if they said we got a call first.